Tuesday, it's 8 p.m. You know what time it is. It's Red Room Day and time. People, welcome back for another episode of Red Room. I should try to keep count of episodes because Anfield Index usually used to have a tradition of episode numbers and remembering them. But since I've joined, I've caused absolute carnage. Carnage by name, carnage by nature. Nothing's organized, nothing's arranged, nothing's pre-planned. It's off the cuff, it's natural ability. And we're going to talk about players and individuals with natural ability. So much to talk about. So much to talk about. First and foremost, if you don't recognize the faces by now, I'll just remind you: there's Lewis, there's Welsh Mo, there's Goldmouth making his appearance, a debut appearance on Anfield Index. Of course, you will know him from my channel. Of course, my friend, my brother, my partner in all things Liverpool when it comes to football. But welcome to the Red Room.
You know what? If you search my name in the deepest dredges of time on Anfield Index's website, you will find that I may have written a couple of articles. So it's almost like we've just come full circle, right back around again. Finally, Goldmouth comes around. Yeah, no, thank you so much for having me and having me on this. I've got so much to say, so much to talk about with Liverpool. I haven't even spoken to you since we won the league.
No,
Being there and everything, it's just been transformative. And not only you know me as being the one that's the most positive fan, etc., etc. Like my positivity is times a million right now because it's crazy.
Okay, fair enough.
Crazy.
Hopefully, someone in the rest of the panel will have to put some doubts in your mind because I don't like overconfidence. You know me, I always play devil's advocate. I always try to bring, from my years of experience gone by, I always try to sort of balance things up. When someone goes a bit too much, I say calmer. When someone goes a bit too negative, I say shut the fuck up. I like to just balance the scales a little bit. Zan has already been on the show. Welcome back, Zan. Hope you're doing very well. We were talking about your beard game beforehand. Some others were jealous, but everyone has a decent beard game today. It's funny, actually. Everyone's got a decent beard, but no one's got a beard like you, my brother. How you doing?
Good. It's actually my first time on Anfield Index. I think the last time I was on your channel.
I beg your pardon. Two debutants on Anfield Index. A round of applause, boy, for the two debutants. I like that. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah. But you're good though, yeah?
Yeah, all good. Happy. We're loving the transfer window so far.
Listen, this is it.
So yeah.
Well, this is it. Transfer window, man. Let's get into it, man. Let's get into it all. Everything's a bit quiet. Mo, what's going on? Where's all the signings? Where's the signings? There's uproar. We've had a whole week of no transfers in or out. Like, this is unheard of at Anfield these days, man. This is not like FSG, the new FSG, or the old FSG. The old FSG coming back into the new FSG, if you know what I mean. Like, is there panic? What's going on? Too quiet.
I think we're concentrating on the outs first, innit? And then we'll see a lot of ins coming in. But yeah, I'm bored. I want the season to start, man. Come on. Let's go. Another month is too long, But yeah, I just generally think behind the scenes they're working on some outs, and then we'll see some more ins, depending if they can get certain people out the door, which I'm sure we'll touch on a bit later.
I guess that's a perfect segue into some outs. And Lewis, I want to start off with the recent. I don't know how much you guys have watched the under-21 championships with England winning it. First and foremost, congratulations to England for winning that. I'm only interested in the Liverpool players, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't know about you. Did you catch much of it? I did, and I thought the three Liverpool lads were outstanding.
Yeah, look, it wasn't a... The thing is with Harvey Elliott, there's so many fans of rival clubs and England fans and other countries who are saying, wow, look how good Harvey Elliott is. We've known how good Harvey Elliott is. We know how good of a player he is and what he's capable of doing. And that tournament showcased the very best of Harvey Elliott when he's on the front foot, when he's attacking, when he's able to create and he's able to express himself and be creative in an attacking sense. We saw... Once again, Liverpool are dominating Europe, just not for Liverpool. They've gone out, they've asserted themselves, retained the title, which is ridiculous to do. That's a huge accomplishment.
That's some feat, that is actually some feat.
It's a massive feat, and he's gone out and he's asserted himself out there, and it's the perfect time for us. None of our key and that sounds disrespectful, but none of our major key players have had to go out and play international tournaments. They've been rested. This is someone who's on the fringes, who's just gone out, put in a top quality tournament performance, and upped this price tag by maybe double. So it's a win-win scenario. He gets the plaudits, we get the price tag. Yeah, terrific to see from him. And I mean, Tyler Morton and Quansah as well, goes without saying. They were superb as well. And best of luck to Quansah, which I know we'll get onto shortly. Tyler Morton might have done him some favours as well, so we'll just have to wait and see.
Keith, as we just spoken off air, I haven't spoken much to you since the title won. I don't think you've recovered. I don't think you'll ever recover. I'm going to be honest with you. I know how you work it. So you know what I mean. Pause. But you know what I mean. I know how you celebrate. I know how you celebrate. But the three outstanding performers, standouts, make up. Is it just over core of the team? No, just over core of the team, right? 3 players, isn't it? Into 11.
Yeah, one in defense, one in midfield, one in
any mathematicians out there? Have I got that fraction right? Yeah, been very impressive. I mean, let's start with the one that's spoken about the least, right? Tyler Morton. Where do you stand with him? Look, I've always had a soft spot for Tyler Morton because I affectionately called him Tyler Busquets after his performance in the San Siro in the same game as Philip.
Yes,
and people said, "Oh, how are you comparing him?" People jump on your neck when you make a comparison. I said, "Come on, I'm just having a laugh." Sergio Busquets is one of the greatest players of all time. What I meant was Tyler Morton has got some talent. It makes sense, right? He's done wonderful. It makes sense to capitalize on him as much as we can.
Honestly, Grizz, I don't mean to sound like a Debbie Downer here, but these 3 players are not under 21 England international. Like that tournament, I believe that it is way above their quality. And I think what you said, Lou, was perfectly spot on. It was almost like, imagine some fringe players had an opportunity to play a couple of games to prove themselves, to be bought by a club. That under 21 tournament for them was exactly that. But the performances, I think, should have been expected. Harvey Elliott, at the end of the day, has played multiple Champions League football, he's played Premier League football. Like, he's played so much football at the highest level. Like, that under 21 tournament was just a nice way for him to show, like, yeah, I'm about. But I wouldn't buy too. He's still got a lot to prove to be at that level amongst the senior group. That's why I think we're letting him go. But as a shopping price tag, that was nice for Liverpool. It's rubbing their hands. And Tyler Morton, exactly the same. Tyler Morton's been around the first team for quite a long time. You just said it yourself. He played in the San Siro, right? Like, Tyler Morton played in the San Siro. Like, he played in these big games. A lot of these under 21s, in my opinion, these days are like 16, 17, 18s. That's the real youth. Like, once you get to 19, 20, 21 with some of these players at the moment, they're already playing multiple games, big games, etc. So, yeah, all 3 of them. Jarell Quansah, exactly the same. I've got lots more to say on Jarell later, but I'll put all 3 of them in that bucket, Grizz. Well done, did the job, got themselves in the shop window, but way above their level.
Way above their level. Zan, I'm going to come to you. Way above their level, he says, and I kind of agree with him. Again, we talk about someone who's gone, but obviously a little bit relevant to speak about him still, Jarell Quansah. People always say, like, if you saw him play, right, and he wasn't associated with Liverpool, and we didn't see him week in, week out, we didn't know nothing about him, we'd say, yo, that centre-back from Leipzig, for example, let's just say he was from Leipzig or Ajax Academy, we'd say, look at that elegance on him. He's got height, he's got strength, he's got technical ability, yet we see him week in, week out. Are you still coming to acceptance that the fee was fine and the move was accepted, or are you having second thoughts about the Quansah situation and the move?
Honestly speaking, I watched like quite a few of the under 21 games for content reasons, and you saw the good and the bad of Jarell Quansah. So the good being the way he brings the ball out, the progressive play. He was absolutely brilliant. And then there was moments where England under 21 conceded, and you see the person who made the mistake. And unfortunate, sometimes it's by luck and sometimes it just happens. It was Quansah there, giving away a penalty, leaving a late leg out, not being in the right position. And I think that is the main reason why Arne Slot just couldn't trust him in that first team. And honestly speaking, having a buyback clause is a masterclass from Richard Hughes, because he does have talent. I think aerially he is brilliant. He's excellent at reading crosses. He's also very, very good at progressing the ball. I watched him for the England under-21s, and there was
Yeah,
moments he was literally running across the whole pitch on his own. No one can tackle him. He's just way better than them, and he's playing a through ball straight into a shot. So he's got the talent. Let him have a couple of seasons at Bayer Leverkusen. I think they said 2027 is when the buyback clause comes back. And if he is someone who reaches that height, then Liverpool have the option of buying him back, which is perfect. So I think in terms of the deal, Liverpool done the perfect job.
Yeah.
fair enough. Fair enough. Are you all in agreement with that? Watching him. Look, I'm a fan. I absolutely understand. He's been making mistakes. He's been at the scene of the crime, too many times. I get it, yeah. But I still think he's young. It's no age for a centre back to be judged, in my opinion. I think in 3-4 years' time, I think. I mean, of course, it depends on his mentality and his attitude. And I want to come to you, Welshmo. I get it. It will depend on his attitude. I think Quansah ends up. I think where Quansah ends up will be based upon his attitude and mentality, not his talent and physical attributes. I don't know what you think.
Yes and no, and I think people are quick to write off Quansah because of this, the bad season he's had this year. I was one of them. I've got to be honest. I thought, I don't mind getting rid of him, But I had a little think about it, and this may be quite controversial because everybody thinks playing next to Van Dijk would be a good learning tool for him. I actually think it's the opposite. I think Van Dijk does a lot of work that goes unnoticed. Van Dijk cleans up, mops up, which makes the partnership work rate or workload a lot easier. I think someone, bear with me a sec on this point. I think someone with Quansah's age and where he is now developing needs to be in the thick of it, needs to be tested regularly and pick up a lot of that slack to learn quickly, rather than expect someone like VVD to mop up after him and so forth. So I kind of have that kind of mindset with it. I think moving to Leverkusen is a great move for him. He's going to be in the thick of it. He's going to start regularly. He's going to learn. He's not going to have someone as great as Van Dijk next to him. So he's going to have to step. So he's going to have to step a little bit. Exactly. And we need to see him have regular games and see if he can step up. And I think putting a buyback clause is just genius. And I hope if Elliott does go, then I hope we do the same with Elliott, because 2027, by then he would have had 2 seasons under his belt with Leverkusen. By then we can judge a little bit proper of what his capabilities are. Yes, people would say German league is weaker than English league, but it still gives you a good yardstick of where he is and where he's developing. And if it's worth that 60 million to reinvest, get back in, then we've got a player waiting there. So I think, yes and no. If I make sense, did I make sense there? But
No, absolutely.
I agree.
I understand what you said. Yes and no. But Lewis, look, Quansah's gone, and we're all I think we're probably all in the same boat in terms of him, except me. Even me, actually, I've come to accept that. Thankfully, there was a buyback, so there is still hope for him. Morton, I think unanimous. We all agree that, look, lovely little player, and but fair play. Now we come to the one that's probably one of the most difficult decisions, or is it, in terms of Harvey Elliott, player of the tournament, marvelous individual performances, and resulted in him being named player of the tournament. Where are we with Harvey Elliott now? This is what I want to know.
Look, I think Harvey Elliott could have had the greatest tournament in the history of football, and I still think Slot would have said, "No, you're not for me." He's not. Slot's no fool. If someone doesn't fit his system, if someone doesn't play how he wants them to play, I don't think he's one of those managers who's going to say, we'll keep him around, see what happens. I think it's either you get it or you don't. Elliott is incredibly talented. We've seen that going forward. We've seen the moments that he's produced for us, the Cardiff goal being a massive one, that incredible top corner goal against Tottenham, Luton, the Champions League this season. He has those little flashes of individual brilliance that make you think there's someone really here who can fit this team. But on the other side of things, you've got someone who's a bit lackadaisy when it comes to his defending in terms of track and back, someone who's necessarily hasn't found the perfect position for himself, someone who can hold onto the ball a bit too long. There's a lot of pros and cons of Harvey Elliott, and I think that going into this tournament, Liverpool or Slot in particular were looking at this as this isn't us to decide whether we're going to keep him or not. This is to determine how much we're going to get for him when he comes out of this tournament. And there's no arguing that he is a very supreme talent. And I do believe that if Jurgen Klopp was still the manager, Harvey Elliott would be getting regular game time. He'd be getting certainly a lot more than he is under Arne Slot. He's someone who's too good, in my opinion, to be sat on the bench waiting for the occasional chance to play for us. And I understand that he's not perfect. I understand he's not a faultless player. But there's someone there who's wasting their career, essentially, waiting for their moments, who we could sell on for £40 million with a buyback clause, £50 million without a buyback clause. There's so many better options than just keeping him for the sake of, well, he's incredibly talented. He has these moments every now and then. Let's keep hold of him because he supports this club and he gives us all in the press. It's not what we need, and it's not what Arne Slot looks for, I think, in a midfielder. He doesn't want someone who's going to run around like the road runner necessarily. He wants someone who's composed on the ball, someone who can go box to box, someone who's able to defend and track back just as good as they are go forward and attack. Harvey Elliott can't quite do that. And as much as I think he had a superb tournament and he's given us some phenomenal moments, it just feels like the right time to move on. And if we are having to sell to buy, he's one of the most valuable commodities in that aspect that we have in this team.
Keith, your views on what Lewis said, and I get it. I want to get you and Zan to talk about it. Like, why can't we? I want you to try to give me an insight into why can't we fit him in tactically? What's lacking? There's lots of good things in him, right? You're a mute, so it would help if you come off mute.
That would help.
7 years still an amateur. But look, but Harvey Elliott's no amateur, man. Like I understand what Lewis said. I absolutely understand. Like Slot wants, it seems, physical athletes, right? But Harvey Elliott, man, surely there's a place in him in a Slot system, or seemingly not.
No, honestly, it's just a wrong age. I always think to myself, if Harvey Elliott was a kind of a seasoned vet and he was around like the 27, 28, 29 mark, right? Had a few seasons at other clubs, etc. Liverpool brought him in as a squad player. Harvey Elliott, in my opinion, would get the similar type of love that Xherdan Shaqiri got. He reminds me so much of this. Harvey Elliott does come up with moments. It cannot be denied. He's got like his output for Liverpool and his age in general is very, very high. Like the numbers don't lie in the amount of minutes that he's played. So I always feel like it's just that because he's young and he deserves the opportunity to be like let loose and the team build around Harvey Elliott. And then we can see whether that, he ultimately takes that mantle or does become Xherdan Shaqiri and just go and maybe play for teams like Atletico Madrid and this, that, and the other, where he could be a squad rotation player because he's proved in his quality, Champions League, Premier League, like he has proven that he's got something that just changes the game with that left foot. Right, he can do it, but physically, to everybody's point, it doesn't suit the Liverpool side, particularly the right-hand side. The right-hand side, effectively, I've come to terms over the summer that the right-hand side is just something that we just know will forever be attacked. Like people talk about Frimpong coming in, it's going to be always the same. Teams attack the right.
Even without Trent,
Trent, they will always attack the right because they know that Mohamed Salah is a striker and there's more space to play down the right. So someone like Harvey Elliott, unfortunately, they don't see him as Mohamed Salah, never have done, and try to turn him into a player that I don't think personally works in a Liverpool team. Could work elsewhere, but that's why I don't think it's worked out ultimately. Moments player, guy you want to bring off the bench, big game, gets that, makes something happen. He could be that, but I don't think he and the money you're talking about for Liverpool to get in, it's a no-brainer, unfortunately. But I still think he leads with his head held high from Liverpool, to be honest with you. And actually, I do believe that he is a player to watch because I think he's got all the attributes to, regardless of maybe necessarily holding down the place for a team, I reckon he will pop up at a few big clubs, in my opinion. And I think he'll be around for quite a bit.
I'm going to go to Zan in a minute, but normally I don't really give the time and space and air to any dickheads in the chat. But I'd like to bring up one before we block him. We're going to make him famous for about 10 seconds. Hey, could I get 5 Pakistani takes? Said no one ever, he says. Yeah, with the name sector Liverpool. Well, Lewis is Scouse, Mo Welsh and Bengali heritage. Keith's half keeps Middle Eastern,
Half Italian, half
European,
Jamaican, my
half
friends.
Italian,
That's
half
the Caribbean.
Jamaican. He's got and
All over
Zan,
the
I
world.
believe. Zan and me are the only ones of Pakistani heritage here. So, listen, you want to be a ignorant numpty who has no concept of color, race, creed, carry on, my friend. There you go, guys. Before we block him, now he can F off and we can carry on with the show. Ban user and delete their comments. There we go. Zan, Harvey Elliott, little technician. There was a time and a place in the Premier League, we don't even have to go back, man, that far. The likes of Juan Mata, Silva, Ozil, left. I'm naming all left-footed maverick type players, good on the ball, maybe not physically dominant. Slot's not about that life. What's going on? Is that what the reason is? I mean, I like Elliott again. I think he's a fantastic squad player. And I know Lewis said about he's too good to be someone not playing enough games. I'm selfish, man. Maybe I'm talking from a selfish point of view. I don't care about Harvey Elliott as an individual, per se. I care about Harvey Elliott, the Liverpool player, and I want him to be at Liverpool because he's a fantastic squad option. But that doesn't always work out, right?
So I like Harvey Elliott, and I think he's a brilliant player. Just how everyone has said, he is fantastic with the ball at his feet, creative ability, good ball striking ability, which has been improving as well season on season. And in general, he's a very good chance creator, especially when you're coming up against a low block. But Arne Slot has two ways of using him that Harvey Elliott suits. That's either as a right winger, which we saw him play for England under 21, or as a RCM/10. And as the right winger, you're expected to be good 1v1, a good change of pace, be able to cut inside while your winger's going out, and be very, very careful with the ball at your feet. I think Elliott lacks the pace aspect to be the right winger under Arne Slot. And as the 10, as we saw Szoboszlai, and for as much as he got criticism sometimes when he was on the ball, off the ball, the amount of work he had to do, because when we're pressing, there's always one man that's slightly open for the opposition team. And when that ball goes past and we have the two-man attack pressing, which was Szoboszlai and let's just say Darwin Núñez as the number 9, that Szoboszlai has to run all the way back and make sure he's back in position. And Harvey Elliott lacks that athleticism. And Arne Slot needs that athleticism in the midfield. In terms of him leaving, I think 40 million is way too good of a price for Liverpool not to let him go, especially if Arne Slot's not using him. You let him go, you bring in, let's say, a winger that Arne Slot likes, and now that's someone who can probably take minutes away from Salah as much as he won't accept it. And now you have a bit more squad rotation that Arne Slot trusts, because the main issue we had going later into the season was our key players were playing every single game every 3 days. And now if Salah gets a little bit more rest, by the end of the season, he's still got that energy to still be at the top level he was throughout the season.
Yeah, try convincing Salah. That's going to be the key, though. This is going to be the Salah. This is going to be the Slot proper quality control test. See how he deals with Salah, and I guess Virgil to an extent as well. In terms of they will need rotating, nurturing, and resting. We're going to have to come to a decision on Harvey Elliott, guys. I'm going to one by one ask you, if you was Slot and the team, what you would do and what kind of price you'd go for, and in the end, Mo, what are you saying first, bro? What are you doing? What have you decided?
I'm not going to be sentimental about it. Just if we can get a good offer, 40 million with a buyback clause, take it and reinvest in the squad.
Can I ask one question, guys? No, actually, I'm going to let you all go and then come back. I'm so sorry. Mo, you said 40 million with a buyback clause, and you're happy with that?
Yeah.
Lou?
Yeah, I've 40 million in a buyback. I'm sort of swayed by the way we've handled the Jarell Quansah situation. I think that's the ideal scenario. If you're wanting to just sell him without the buyback, 50. I'd rather 55 plus. Yeah. I don't know, 10 million more just feels a bit... It's not enough to sacrifice the buyback option, in my opinion. So I think it's got to be more than 50 if you're just selling him outright.
Keith?
You're muted.
Stay on mute. No, I want him to stay on mute for the rest of the stuff.
If a club can't pay more than £40 million for him, I don't think we should sell him.
40, yeah.
Yeah, 40. 40 buyback clause, I can see here or there, but has to be 40. Anything under, if they're talking 30, 35s, don't sell him. I don't think they'll sell him. And I don't think they should sell him. Anything.
Zan?
I would say 40 million with or without a buyback clause. I think if it hits 40 million, Liverpool will let him go regardless of the buyback clause.
So this is where I wanted to sort of butt in, but I was biting my tongue. It's very difficult for me to do that sometimes when it comes to football in Liverpool. I've got this bad habit of interrupting. I need to cut down. People always tell me off for that, yeah, but I don't give a shit. If you lot have spoken about, I'm sorry, I'm going to put some of you lot on the spot here. If you lot have discussed Harvey Elliott's physical attributes and the lack of them in certain situations in terms of being detrimental to his being a starter, can you explain to me how his physical attributes will improve? Why have you put in a buyback clause? What's the thinking behind that? So if he's not fast enough, tall enough, strong enough, powerful enough, how is he going to become tall now that he's 23 or whatever? He's not going to be quicker. Go on, Lewis.
I don't think it's necessary.
Why are you insisting? Or are you thinking maybe in 5 years' time we have a new coach who might believe in his attributes more than Slot? Is that what you're thinking? Because you're contradicting yourselves here, lads, with the buyback clause. Because
I don't think it's necessarily a height thing. I think it's just I'd rather have the option and not need him than him turn into this incredible player and us having to break the bank if he is something that would fit our new system, for example, of a new manager come in. I don't think it's not out of the realms of possibility. We've seen it numerous times in the past of players who have left one club not good enough, have gone somewhere else, improved massively. Like just Leon Goretzka, for example, he left and went to Bayern Munich, not leaving us, obviously. The man's a machine. Like he transformed into a machine. You see all these memes of people going off to Real Madrid where they go over there, they develop so much muscle and they just physically look more imposing and are in matches. I'd just rather have the option of bringing him back if he does develop into that player that we're looking for, rather than us saying he's never going to be good enough and then 2-3 years down the line we're like, crap, he's going to cost us double if we do want to bring him back in. I don't know. It's just a sort of a contingency more so than it is he's going to fit the system.
So does anybody else want to back up their opinion that I've kind of ridiculed?
No, to be honest with you, like just one quick, for me, as I said before, it doesn't really matter. Like, I
know you're fair enough. You wasn't insistent on a buyback. You don't
and what hearing the conversation and hearing this you as well, I think the conversation really should be sell-on clause rather than buybacks.
This is where I was going. This is where you can tell where I was going. Keith got there first. Then surely it's a sell-on clause. If you're not like thinking he's going to become a bad boy or have a fear of him becoming a bad boy but not on our patch, then surely sell-on clause, because we can see the talent. We all agree he's talented and he might become a fantastic player, but we just don't think he's going to fit into Slot's plans, and Slot won't, even if he improves by 20%, which is quite a lot, guys. 20% is a huge increase. He still won't start for Slot. Do we agree? In that case, if someone else likes him and have a sell-on clause, surely better than a buyback clause?
Yeah,
I think most contracts, sorry, Zan, I think most contracts nowadays, or most sales nowadays, have a sell-on clause anyway. I think people do that anyway, but that makes sense, yes. With regards to me saying a buyback option is Harvey Elliott's, he played 18 games in the Premier League last year for Liverpool. I don't think any of them were starts.
No, didn't he start one near the end or something?
Oh, near the end, maybe one or two. So let's just say 18 and two of them were starts. Yeah, appearances in the Premier League. I need to see a Harvey Elliott play 38 games in a row in the Premier League and see if he can step up to the potential.
Why do you want to see that?
Because I think there's a player there. I genuinely think there's a player there. But
why are you selling him?
Because he's a victim to our system. Simple as. If we didn't play the system we played,
great players can fit into systems. If he's going to be this wonder child and you actually believe in him and you want to see him for 38 games, like, wow, you really believe in him. You really got some faith in him. Keep him then. Let him nurture and develop then.
I would actually keep him if I had a choice. However,
I asked you your choice and you said you sell him.
No, you said how much would you? No, you said how much you sell him for. that was a different question.
Why are you selling him then? Say no. I believe in this player. I'm gonna
No,
keep.
but like from a slot squad perspective, okay. If it's slot making the decisions, sell him. That's what I say. If it's me making the decisions, I'm not
I asked you for your
manager.
decisions, people. I always
Uh,
ask Lewis,
Okay,
Keith, Dan. Make sure I want your opinions, not
but my
slots.
decision, like I'm either way. I don't mind if we sell him because I understand that, but I don't mind if we keep him as well. But for his benefit, being the age that he is, and potentially knocking on the senior England squad, he needs games before a World Cup year. He will get that in a slot team. So that's my point. A buyback clause is for me is because look, if he goes and starts for a West Ham 2 seasons in a row and becomes a worldie like a Shaqiri, a younger version, then yeah, let's get him back in the squad. You know, if slot might not be there, we don't know. It's just to protect ourselves. I think every sale we do anyway, we get a sell on clause, or every club in the world puts a sell on clause on. You know,
No, you have to insert it. You have to insert it. It's not.
but it's more common now, isn't it? You know, that's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, if it's a slot system, I think he's just victim to the system. I genuinely do.
Zan, I think we've got Mo absolutely confused, and he's
You
given 3 different answers in one. We still haven't got a definitive. Have you changed your mind? Have I confused you in any way, shape, form, or are you adamant?
No, I think he's a player that should probably get sold now. Like, he's had a couple of seasons, 3 seasons. I
Fair
think
enough.
it's probably the right time that we can see he doesn't fit on his slot system. Let him go. And to be honest, I'm not convinced that we need to have a buyback clause on him either. I think he can become a very good player. I don't think he can become elite. I don't think he can become Florian Wirtz elite. So buyback clause would be for someone who you think could become genuine starter for the team. 40 million and maybe a 20% sell-on clause if he sold on later to another Premier League team and we got something out of it, then yeah. But I don't think he could ever become elite.
It's important we started on those 3 because they've most recently had some success, and obviously they're the talk of the town in terms of outgoings.